Have you ever just stopped and wondered what connects every single living thing on our planet? I mean, from the tiniest microbe you can't even see, all the way up to a giant blue whale. There's this fundamental secret, a shared ingredient that unites all of life. So let's dive in and uncover that essential building block together.
Okay, let's just kick things off with a question. I want you to picture three things. You, a massive redwood tree that's hundreds of feet tall, and a single invisible bacterium. I mean, at first glance, they couldn't be more different, right? But what if I told you that at your very core, all three of you shared the exact same fundamental blueprint for life?
And the answer is the cell. This is the absolute hero of our story today. It's the basic unit of life, the tiny little engine that powers literally everything that has ever lived. That's the one thing all those incredibly different organisms have in common.
Now, to really appreciate the cell's story, we first got to learn the language. So let's quickly get on the same page and cover a few key terms.
First up, the big picture. Biology. You know, it's one of those words we hear all the time, but the meaning is right there in the name. Bio means life, and logos means science. So it's literally the science of life, the entire field dedicated to understanding this amazing living world around us. Okay, so let's zoom in from that big picture. The word cell actually comes from the Latin for small chamber. And you know what? That is a perfect description. Think of it like the smallest possible room, or a single Lego brick that has all the tools it needs to be considered alive. Every single living thing is built from these tiny chambers. And that brings us right to the focus of this explainer, cell biology. This is the science that takes that small chamber and puts it under a microscope. It's all about figuring out what it's made of, how it works, and how it manages to build everything from a simple bacterium all the way up to, well, you. So how in the world did we even discover this hidden universe? It wasn't like someone just woke up one day and knew about cells. No, this was a fantastic scientific detective story that unfolded, piece by microscopic piece, over centuries. It all started way back in 1665. A guy named Robert Hooke was looking at a thin slice of cork under a microscope and saw all these tiny box-like structures. He called them cells. Then, just 10 years later, Antony van Leeuwenhoek points his own, more powerful microscope at a drop of pond water and is completely blown away to see tiny little organisms swimming around. But it wasn't until 1838 that two scientists, Shellyden and Schwann, finally put it all together and proposed the radical idea that all living things were made of these cells. That was a total game changer. And that revolutionary idea eventually became a formal theory, a kind of rulebook, the fundamental laws that govern all life as we know it. And here they are, the three core principles. Number one, the cell is the smallest possible thing you can have that's actually alive. You can't get any smaller. Two, every living thing you can possibly think of is made of at least one cell. And three, this one is my favorite, cells don't just pop into existence. Every single cell comes from another cell that was already there. Just think about that. It means there's an unbroken chain of life stretching all the way back for billions of years. All right, so all life plays by these same rules. But, and this is where it gets really cool, life didn't just stick with one design. Over time, it developed two majorly different blueprints, two different ways to build that small chamber of life. The first blueprint is the simple one, the prokaryotic cell. The name gives you a huge clue. Pro means primitive, or before. Think of this as the original model, the stripped-down, no-frills version of a cell. And then you have the second blueprint, the complex one, the eukaryotic cell. Here, U means true, which is a little hint that this model has a more defined true center, or nucleus. This is the upgraded, more organized version with all the bells and whistles. So what's the big difference? Well, the most important one is the nucleus. In prokaryotes, the DNA, the genetic blueprint, just kind of floats around inside. But in eukaryotes, it's all neatly packed away and protected inside that nucleus. Eukaryotes also have all these other specialized compartments called organelles. You can think of them like tiny organs for the cell, and prokaryotes just don't have those. This extra organization is what allows eukaryotic cells to get so much bigger and build more complex things. So who uses which blueprint? Well, it's pretty simple actually. Bacteria and archaea, some of the oldest and toughest life forms on the planet, they're the prokaryotes. And pretty much everything else you can see with your own eyes, animals like us, towering trees, mushrooms, were all built from those more complex eukaryotic cells. And really, that's the big takeaway here. When you step back and look at it, it's just incredible. From one fundamental building block, which comes in two basic models,
evolution has created every single diverse and amazing form of life we see on this planet. It's such an elegant system.
So we've gotten a look at the basic blueprints, but honestly, that just opens up a ton of new questions, doesn't it? Like, how do these tiny chambers actually work? What's really going on inside? Knowing the blueprint is one thing, but understanding the machinery of life itself? Well, that's the next step on a much, much deeper journey.
You know, every single cell in your body is a direct descendant of the very first life on Earth. So the next time you look in the mirror, just remember you're looking at a history that is 4 billion years in the making. Pretty amazing.